Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome in the announcer's booth. Chad Rosema up here with you on a Thursday night, getting excited for the next 3-day stretch of racing action. Of course, is going to be capped off in a couple of days Saturday with our huge Pepsi North America Cup program. Things are looking great. Preparations continue to be ongoing here at Mohawk Park. The entire team busy, all hands on deck here as we get set for our big event. We know the card is drawn. That was on Tuesday. We've got a sensational program, but before we get into that, we've got a couple of 10-race programs to get into as well, including tonight, of course. And, of course, with me is going to be the Hall of Famer Randy Waples, a Pepsi North America Cup winning driver. Randy Waples, good to see you, buddy, albeit from, well, if I look out my window here, I can see you, 150 feet away.
Yeah, there you go. That's me. That's me.
I see a wave. I think I see your wallet on the ground there. Did you drop that?
No? Yeah, well, normally I am used to people on the top of the grandstand looking for my wallet. They usually do find it for me.
You should pick it up. If it's your wallet, somebody's going to trip over it.
Yeah, okay.
My goodness. As mentioned, we're like 48 hours away from the Pepsi North American Cup.
Yes, we are.
I mean, how are you feeling?
I'm always excited this time of the year, you know what I mean? Whether it was when I was driving or doing this job here. I mean, it's just such a grand time to be in horse racing because every week we come up with a whole bunch of new fantastic horses to look at. And I think that this is one of the most evenly matched NA Cups that I've seen in quite some time. So I'm really, really excited for it. What about you? You've seen so many of them too. You don't figure this is one of the more evenly matched ones?
I just think it's storylines, which we love, right? We love the storylines going into it, but I agree with you. I think the way it stacks up, I mean, Lou Prince still, he's the morning line favorite. He is the one that I think you got to say he's the one to beat. But, I know you're like me. We're liking Light Up the World quite a bit, or maybe even a couple others. I think locally we're well represented, but just the way that it lined up with the draw, I mean, to get the 3 elim winners all right there beside each other, 4, 5, and 6. Then you get a ton of speed from 7 through to 10. Then you've got a couple of factor horses on the inside that could, toss a wrench into the plans for somebody. I just think we're going to see a little of everything that entire race, and whoever ends up coming up with the win, we are crowning a great, great champion regardless.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I kind of see it the same way as you too. Even if there's a lot of forward movement leaving the gate, I think there's going to be forward movement from everywhere. Not just the middle of the gate where the winners came from, not just the inside where people are looking to, not get caught up in a bad kind of a spot, to try to make it up that way. And I agree with you too. There's so much speed on the outside. There's no way they're all going to take back. Maybe 1 or 2 of them might take back, but not all of them. And the biggest wild card of them all, the horse that made, I'm not going to say the biggest move because Light Up That World's last quarter was a pretty big move, but the biggest move earlier in the race, Madden Oaks, he draws the 10 hole. Now, I mean, I don't see him sitting at the back either, so I just think that it's just like a perfect storm setting up for Saturday night.
Yeah, no, it should be great. And then even before that, we've got, which might even be the headline event for a lot of folks.
Is to me.
When we see our undefeated star here in Chantilly versus the U.S. star, as in her 2-year-old campaign, Mickey and Minnie. They're going to meet up for the very first time in the final that Fan Hanover. And I know that obviously we were talking for weeks about the possibility that Chantilly could maybe be facing the boys. I'm so glad it's this way because I mean, to get the matchup that we're going to have now in the Fan Hanover between Chantilly and Mickey Minnie, I think that's something that everybody's going to be tuned in to watch.
Yeah, I'm too, I mean, it's amazing, Chad, because like I said, I never thought up till the other night there, I never thought I would see anybody that I would even be remotely buzzed about, like that had to race against Chantilly.
Yeah.
3, like Philly-wise. And then I seen, Mickey and Minnie the other night, and my goodness, I mean, like she set me back on my heels. So this is going to be an incredible race, undefeated, taking on, what arguably a filly that maybe could have been undefeated. Who knows, but either way, it's going to be a heck of a night of racing.
Yeah, and you could tell based on Monday as we give you a look back at how the winning trip from the 3 quarters on worked out for those winners. As we kind of look back at some track stats, the crew has got this track already well prepped for Saturday. I mean, they were flying. We had Dirty Little Piglet went 49-2.
Yeah.
The other night, I mean, Perfetto equaled his lifetime mark in 51-4. Other quick miles there. The well-bred ready for prime time, and essentially a maiden event went 50-2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredibly fast, and when you can really see it is both of those races that you mentioned, Dirty Little Piglet and Perfetto, live horses dropped down on both of those horses' backs and couldn't stay with them. It was just built for speed so much. On Monday night, and I mean, it just makes you shudder to think what potentially could go on Saturday night here.
Yeah, and the only one that was able to actually win from off of the pace was Roxy Hart, right off the bat. And I saw in the judges' report she lost a shoe too.
Unbelievable. She ever good right now.
Yeah,
I was just talking to Jeff Byron, part owner of Roxy Hart, and he was telling me her next gig's going to be a gold right here at Mohawk.
That's good. All right. So I think that's coming up something like the 28th, maybe.
Soon.
Here. Yeah. At the end of the month as well. After we get into the big Grand Circuit, we'll get it back into our provincial stuff. Okay. So I'm going to just tee up a few of the races here tonight on this 10-pack that we've got. John Rallis committed to some other stuff right now as he continues to put in the prep work for the NA Cup. He'll be joining us about halfway through the show. And then it's you and John the rest of the night here, Mr. Waples. So
one thing we know about John, Chad, he can catch up real quick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We've got a field of 9 on the trot to kick it off. It's a nominators of 1 group, 5 and under. And currently it's Call Me Parker. Now, Call Me Parker, I understand on May the 29th from what Tyler Borth told me, he ended up jumping late in the stretch there, jumped a tire track. You know, and then last week, I mean, he raced well again, but, you know, this recent new recruit for Sean Stacy, I think he's just kind of a good trotter. And, you know, but Call Me Parker, bottom line is he's been knocking. Does he break it through tonight?
I'm not going to put him on top.
Okay.
I put him on top. I didn't use him on top his last start, but I did use him on top the start before where he jumped the tire track. It looked like he was a jog burger. You know, 3/4 of the way down the lane, then all of a sudden, boom, he's on the run. Laid off him his last start. I thought it was a good one, you know, but he did get picked off again on the end of it. I don't know if this is just a habit that's going on with him or what's the deal, because he was 0 for 11 last year, 0 for 7 this year. Now, if it was zeros across the page, it wouldn't bother me as much, but he's got 4 seconds this year, had 2 seconds last year, so he's close, just hasn't been able to get up to the winner's circle. So I'm going to throw him in for second in this race. Where I'm going to go is the 1 horse. Team McNair for this guy, Fireflies and Thunder. I thought 2 starts down. I thought it was a great effort that he put up there. Odds of 29-1. You know, Dougie had the 2-hole left out of there with him, ended up finishing 3rd in there. And then last week, Jody Jamieson subbing for this guy, and he bookends at 27-3 out of there from the 5-hole. 27-3 on the end of it, drops time again. I think he's just a horse that's really starting to kind of get into his own kind of a groove. I thought it was a good effort that he put up last week. You know, Call Me Parker ends up finishing 2nd in there. He ends up finishing 3rd. I think that maybe, you know, with Dougie back in the bike and with the rail, maybe he might be able to stay close to Tyler with Call Me Parker and maybe outkick him in the lane. Either way, I think that the 1 and the 3 are the 2 of the top kind of horses in this race. I do like the 9 horse as well for Team Hebert. I probably would have threw him in, you know, maybe in for second in there if he did drew a little bit better, and maybe it's not going to matter. But I did elect to throw him in for 3rd because of that 9-hole position.
Yeah, and I know you guessed it was one that I really liked off the qualifier, and he was okay, and you know, on a sloppy track, 3rd in there, and then last time out made the early miscue, so we didn't really get to see a gauge on how much he was going to improve. So, you know, you guessed it's another one that I think can get a piece of this if he can just, you know, stay on the trot.
Yeah, I threw him in on the bottom. I agree with you there. You know, I mean, he made a good recovery last week too, and you can even see that. Still trotted a back half in 57 and change.
Yep. All right. That's race number 1 to kick off the Thursday card. 75 grand guaranteed in that early pick 5. Let's move over to race number 3, Randy, as we go to nominators and 2 trotters in here. We've got a field of 8. Morning line favorite on the outside is going to be Louis Waz, Charge Exquisite Taste. And, you know, she, like others of the Ontario sired variety, continuing to kind of put in preparations. If they're not in, you know, let's say the good times for the boys or, you know, some other stakes events that could be south of border, whatever it may be, they're just staying in shape ahead of the next gold tilt, right?
Yeah, I would say. And that's the only thing with her. You know, how hard is he going to want to race her? Yep. You know what I mean? Is he going to want to race her like, you know, I mean, this is the be-all and end-all to him, or does he have a gold coming up like Roxy Hart and he's going to just try to do it as win, but do it as simple as possible? So I threw her in for second. Sometimes as a driver, you go into these races and you want to be a little bit too cute it ends up just being that, a little bit too cute. And, you know, sometimes that's the reason why you get beat. So where I'm going to go, Chad, is a horse that you and I both liked last year as well, and that's Alimony Mike coming out of the Dustin Jones stable. Last year, 8 starts, 6 times. He's first, second, or third, so really put together a nice summary. We're going to show you the May the 22nd line because that's the class when he was back in this non-winners of 2 that he's facing here. His last start in against the Golds. No match for P.L. Spencer and wearing the green, maybe even fast snap, but still not a bad effort. Now drops back into this non-winners of 2 that we're showing you 2 starts ago in here on a sloppy track. I thought he come up with a good third. I thought he showed good wheels, 27 and change over that track. Now he comes back in here into a non-winners of 2 after testing the Gold Waters. I think he's in a good spot. And again, I don't know how tough Louis going to want to be with Exquisite Taste. You know, I'm sure he wants to win, but how hard is he going to want to be with her? We'll have to see. Ungawa, another horse that's got a lot of potential and is really starting to kind of put it back together again. But again, I'm not really sure just how hard Paul's going to want to be on him because he just kind of has him back getting into confidence mode. So I got him in for third. And the Christoforou horse down on the inside. He's the one that I find the most dangerous, French Vodka. I think that this is a pretty nice colt, but again, has the inside. He's knocking at the door. Is tonight going to be the time that he breaks through the door with the rail? I'm going to gamble here and say, no, it's not. And I'm going to go with Alimony Mike with Team Jones.
Yeah, I was out to Classy Lane on Tuesday morning, stopped by the Christoforou outfit there. Hard at work.
Camilla.
Even Chris.
Yeah, Camilla was hard at work. Okay, yeah,
no, they, you know what, but a great operation. I know you've been out there as well, and I was talking to Camilla about how I said, you know, listen, I told Chris that, you know, your horses just all look so good.
They do.
And he was quick to give his wife the credit for that.
So
yeah, they do a really nice job, you know, with rubbing those horses and having them ready. And French Vodka is obviously one that they like. You know, a guy you used to drive for, Per Henriksen, you know, he was famous for either being kind of, you know, Mr. Fix-It, or, you know, he could take a trotter off of another trainer, even respected trainers, and immediately show improvement. Mm-hmm. Mikkel Vanderkamp, I find, can do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, what is it about these guys, especially with the trotters? I mean, Sunday Shoes, that was just a big effort. And I know it looked like he romped, and he came home in a fast final quarter in a quick time, but he certainly wasn't going to the well on him.
No, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure if it was just all the shoeing change on that guy. I think a lot of it had to do with that first start Lasix, Chad. I know I'm a second start Lasix kind of a guy, but he had enough time in between his races that he could have got a fast mile into him under Lasix. Either way, Lasix, you know, can really make a huge difference on a horse that needs it. I think Sunday Shoes needs it. Now, I didn't use him in here tonight. Could end up costing me because, boy, oh boy, he looked some good in that last start. But it was a start that was in a maiden. And now he's going to move up into non-winners of 2, into horses that, you know, have been racing stake races, you know, even won the odd stake race as well. So I think it's a big step up for Sunday Shoes. Wouldn't be surprised to see him double up or even come up with a big trip, but I'm going to play against him simply on the rise-up angle.
Yeah, we'll know more about him after tonight,
we
that's
will.
For sure. Okay, we're going to skip over a couple of them. We're going to go to race number 6 next as we head to the back half of the card. This does kick off the late pick 5. Trudy Bird, I know, was one that you were favoring in here for a good piece of it. She has come up sick, so Ken Susi will not have this one, but he's got, I think, his son's horse, Tahanta, in race number 5. We're going to see that one debut here at Mohawk Park. You do have the well-bred PL Stevie from that first full of PL Jill. What do you think of her progression so far?
Oh, love her. She was going to be my top pick regardless. Trudy Bird, I had her in there for second, but like you said, she's not going to be with us tonight. I thought Trudy Bird could come up with a real big effort. Love the way that Ken and Paul have been bringing her along, but I love the way that Chris Jr. has also brought along PL Stevie. I think that she is racing so good. So let's take a look at that last replay for her. Had the 8-hole, start before that, had the 9-hole, start before that, had the 3-hole, but that was her first lifetime start. And I mean, knowing Chris, he just isn't going to go to the well that first lifetime start, but I think he's in a situation here now where, you know, he can make a little bit of noise. With the scratch of the 2-horse, he is going to have to move down a slot into the 2. I don't like the 2 quite as much as I like the 3 position, but I do think that she's on a big, ready to come up with a big effort. So I'm going to throw her up on top. Excuse me. Trudy Bird out. I got the 6 horse Angelic in for third, but the one that scares me the most is the 10 horse Supergirl Molly.
Yeah.
Last week, I wasn't the only one that had her up on top. You can see she went off as the favorite, but just didn't really do a whole lot in that race. The race before, when she went off at 40-1, she looked killer. Just great. Big wheels on the end of it. Loved her. And she's a big, good-looking filly to boot. So don't really know what's going to happen with her out of the 10 hole, but I still used her on the bottom of my ticket. I still kind of find her to be a little bit dangerous. And another one in here, the 8 horse Fateful. I got him down as a +1. Each week, she gets a little bit better. You know, that last qualifier and then her first start, it was a good one. I put her down as a +1 last week, actually a +2. I thought it was a really, really good effort that she put in. Only got beat 3.5. Good movement on the end of it. Now she does draw the outside again, and I got her down as a +1. Maybe I'm a little bit too late, but I think that she's one you need to pay attention to. And next week, she might be your go-to in this race.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned her because she was one that caught my eye out there. You could see that JR was looking for room.
Mm-hmm.
She was in behind horses, comes from a good family, and yeah, maybe needs a start or two, more after this. JR probably had a tough decision here because he gets good opportunities from Gabby Sasso, but also gets good opportunities from, whether it's Jacques or Marie Dupont.
Yeah.
For some pretty top owners in there. And I'm sure he was probably happy with the way Fateful raced, but at this point in the career, just opted to go Pierrot Emerald in here tonight.
Yeah, and I mean +1 is the fact that I just don't see her making a big move out of there and then showing a lot on the end of it. I think he gets one more into her, then she can maybe do it. Tonight, I'm looking more like the way that he's racing her, but I think she's going to have a bigger kick on the end of it if she doesn't get used. I just think that she's getting to the point where she's going to come up with a big kind of an effort.
Yeah, are you singling PL Stevie in your late pick 5?
I am. Actually.
Okay. I think it's a good single.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with Trudy Bird being out of there.
She's ready.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, race number 8 is where we head to next, starting the final pick 3. $8,000 to $11,000 claiming handicap for the fillies and mares in the pace. Wifey Said So got back to her winning ways, albeit at Grand River. Took a trip there, and that 5/8 from a time perspective held up pretty much the same as what she does here. It might just be one of those instances, Randy, where, whether you go to Georgian and you go 54 and you go to Grand River, but then you come here and that's kind of, that's your bottom.
It is.
You know what I mean?
But I think that maybe there might have even been more to it as well, too. I think, Chad, that maybe Travis was taking her back to the B tracks that we've seen him do a lot of racing with her at Flamborough at one time. I think he took her back for some confidence.
I was going to say build it back up.
I think so. I mean, she had all those outside post positions. He was trying to get her into the race. You could tell it was starting to kind of take its toll on her. The one time he raced her from off, I thought it was a good move for him to do that because you could tell at the end of the mile she was starting to tire. But he never could get her back onto that form here on the big track. No matter what he tried with her, she could not get back into that. He takes her back to Grand River. It's not a half anymore, but it is a 5/8. So it's a little bit tighter turns. She obviously was good with that. Now she comes back to a short field with the rail. I think she's going to be good to go in here. I'm actually going to play against the replay that we're going to show you, and that's the 7 horse Time Waits on No One. And I'll tell you something, Time was not waiting on this one in her last mile. What an effort this one puts up, Chad. 51 flat.
Both McQueen horses.
Oh, unbelievable. What an effort, these two. Hit the wire together. 27 flat out of there, this one, and still 27-2 on the end of it. James McDonald's going to come back with her. So I got her in for second simply because can she come back and duplicate that mile? What's she going to do from the outside? She did have the 6 last week, but she had a horse on the outside of her. She's the one that's going to be on the outside. Wifey Said So can get herself out of there in a real good spot. So Time Waits on No One. Wanted to show you that one. Huge effort. One of the best 8,000 claiming efforts I have ever seen in my life anyway. But Wifey Said So is the way that I'm going to go. And then I'm going to throw Jazzville in on the bottom, Chad. I like the way that she's racing. And then Cora in for third. More or less using the ones that I have been using in this class, just kind of mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the track was fast last Thursday. We saw that, it wasn't just this race, but when, I still didn't see 9 claimers going 51. As soon as the race was done and, I did everything I had to do here as far as introducing the winner and that, I immediately retimed the race. because I just didn't exactly believe it, but it was.
51.
It was legit.
Yeah,
it was 51. So big effort from both McQueen charges there. Solid as a brick house was second best in that spot. I mean, ran a winning race, but had to settle for second. But yeah, 51, huge effort from both of them. So not sure we'll see something like that here tonight, but as we've talked about, this track is, I mean, it's lightning fast right now.
Do you have a wooden stopwatch to go with the wooden shoes?
You know what? That's a perfect cue to get into a break.
Okay, no, wait. Just before we do that,
okay.
I just wanted to say quickly, are you looking forward to the 7th race as much as I am? Get the green first start on Lasix. I think it's going to make a huge difference on this horse. And we're both fans of him anyway.
And that was a gentleman that I was actually looking to chat with the other day. I saw him in the barn briefly when I was at Classy Lane, but then he was back out working. So no slowing down Roger Mayotte in there. But yeah, I wanted to ask him about, get the green. I mean, the fact he shows up on Lasix leads us to believe maybe what happened in there. But, was there some sickness as well going on? But yeah, we're a big fan of this guy.
I think it's going to make a huge difference in this horse.
Yeah, no, and James will take care of him here tonight. It's about, again, getting him back on the right path ahead of the next Gold, right?
Agreed.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy. We got John Rallis. He'll be stepping in here in a few moments, so we'll take a quick time out. Randy and John have got plenty more to talk about as we get closer to our big Pepsi North America Cup weekend.
$1 million Pepsi North America Cup final. Can't cheer for them all, or can you? It's a great one. Here we go. Sprint is on with $1 million on the line. Captain's quarters leads the way. Here comes Nijinsky breathing fire. Drawn clear. Nijinsky hauls home the Pepsi North America Cup in 1:48.1, a perfect second over Tripp, and Rob parlays it into $1 million score.
When I think New Holland, the first word that would come to my mind, I would think success. I think without it, for me, the success isn't there.
Whenever you deal with somebody so long and they take care of you, you remember that.
New Holland builds products that will continue to evolve and make the farmer more efficient, that can produce food for the world.
Winbank Farm of Ontario is home to outstanding sires, including a three-time millionaire pacer tattoo artist who is new in 2025, the last great son of the legendary Sub Beach Somewhere and multiple stakes champion Beachglass, Meadowlands Pace and Ontario Sire Stakes champion Lawless Shadow, and the richest pacing stallion in all of harness racing history, the great Hall of Famer Mick Wicked. Also standing at Winbank Farm, Archangel, Better Than Cheddar, Betting Line, My MVP, and Trixton. For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Download the Bet365 app, the only sports book available to bet on today's races, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365.
All right, we're back here on the pre-show here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Thanks again for Chad for filling in, and some nice chatter on some of the races that we've got on tap here this evening, Randy. And I'm looking forward to some of those horses and some of their performances that you highlighted from last week. Obviously, PL Stevie, we're both high on that one. Get the Green. I just heard you before I got on air that you're excited to see how he's going to respond on Lasix. Makes sense because you really expect that he's going to be better than what he showed last time out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's the thing with him. There a couple of times he's raced really good, you know, on the end of his mile, and you think everything's good to go. A couple of other times, you know, it seemed like he was kind of like waiting for somebody or looking after himself. So I think that Lasix is really, really going to improve this horse big time. I don't think he's, and usually, you know, I'm a second start Lasix kind of guy. I don't think he's far off. And I think that there's been enough time, and where Roger's stable, that Classy Lane, I think that he can get a good mile into him under Lasix. And this is more or less second start Lasix. So I think we're looking at a big effort here tonight. And it's a short field, you know. Lot pointing towards maybe a win.
Yeah, and speaking of good to go, we're all good to go for Saturday night. I mean, it's just kind of hard. It's kind of hard to focus on what's on tap tonight and what's on tap on Friday, knowing that what's at stake on Saturday night. And there's just so much going on. You could see there's going to be a lot of stuff to do on track, a lot of wagering opportunities as well. And if you show up here, you're going to also get a chance to leave with some swag. A free ball cap giveaway. If I told you how many texts, messages I got,
hear that.
you know, can you get me a hat? Can you get me a hat?
too.
Listen, I'm going to do my best to get myself a cap.
Yeah.
And you know, we work the broadcast. It's going to be really tough for us to even get our hands on this this cap, because it seems like it's going to be a hot commodity. But they are nice hats, though. I know that's. I think last year was like the string cap, and it was really nice. And now we're got to get a chance to
Sharp
leave with
colors.
some. Yes, we'll leave with some swag. We talked about what's available on tap, though, Randy. I tell you what, there's some great wagering opportunities on Saturday night. You could see the early pick 5, usually a $75,000 guaranteed. It's going to be back to $100,000 on that stakes-filled card. All stakes pick 5, races 7 through 11.
What's that one guaranteed at?
$100,000 as well. So the jackpot high 5, a mandatory payout, and what not shown here on screen though is the pick 6. It's going to be a mandatory payout as well. So if you play into the pick 6 pool, even if it goes 5 out of 6, everything gets paid out. And I think that's honestly going to be better going into that jackpot high 5. So maybe leaves you a few extra dollars, you know, to play that mandatory payout, which we can see is over $420,000. And not only that, it kind of aligns with all those stakes cards too. That pick 6 starts in race 6 instead of the late pick or the middle or late pick 5. And then you get a chance to, you know, kind of trickle in to some stakes races.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's an incredible card that they've put together. And, you know, I mean, I can't wait. And I love the fact that they guaranteed both of those pick 5s at $100,000. Because, like you said, even tonight we got a pick 6 carryover. We got, you know, what, 5,700 in carryover. So who knows? Maybe we might get a carryover Friday night, which will have a pick 6 carryover into Saturday night. Then we have the carryover from the high 5, the jackpot high 5, and it's just going to be an incredible night for watching horses and wagering.
Yeah, and you got an opportunity to watch these races also on national TV on Game Plus as well. You could see coverage starts at 10 p.m. So a great opportunity for us to kind of showcase our sport here in Canada. I know that in the States they've got a chance to showcase it on Fox Sports. Here in Canada, we've got an opportunity to showcase it on Game Plus, and the coverage is always great, top-notch, but we're going to have some great coverage here on the simulcast show as well, so multiple opportunities to watch what is going to be an incredible night of action, Randy.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, a lot of people, they're automatically going to say NA Cup, but I can honestly say, and I'm looking forward to the North American Cup. It's our biggest race, but I honestly can say it's that Fan Hanover that's just really got me buzzed.
You know what? Despite how good all those elimination winners were for the North America Cup, were there any two horses more impressive than Mickey and Minnie and Chantilly on that Saturday night card?
No.
I think, you know what, seeing those performances, could they not step in and be competitive against the boys there?
I would have to think that they would.
Yeah.
I would have to think that they would, that they could step in there and, you know, maybe not get the job done, but let them know that they're in the race and get a big chunk of it. Yeah, I do. I think they're two of the nicest pacing fillies that I've seen in quite some time.
You know what? My favorite thing was for you getting a chance to see her, you know, up in person is Mickey and Minnie. We know how good Chantilly is. We've gotten a chance to see her, but your reaction just after she tipped off cover. I mean, you know, obviously just watching the race here with you, it was, she's a special filly too.
She is. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Because I said earlier in the show, John, I never thought anybody would get me so stoked up as what Chantilly every time that I get to watch a race, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I wanted to see Mickey and Minnie, you know, but I mean, I didn't really wasn't really giving it a whole, whoa, wow, boy, I'll tell you. She made everybody, I think, sit up and take notice, you know. I mean, Chantilly is great. I'm not 100% sure we're not seeing another great one in here as well. So it's going to really come down to a lot of driving races, post position, final trip, and then which trainer is going to have their horse right on their game.
Yeah, I don't even want to try and map out what potential trip either driver wants to give that filly, because I'm sure it's going to be a chess match for them trying to figure that out. They both have confidence in their fillies, but how about Jimmy Gillespie in the race office, putting that race just before the NA Cup. So we get a matchup that we're all excited for. That's going to get the buzzes and the juices flowing. And then one race later, it's the North America Cup. So I think that's going to be I think that's a really good job kind of putting those races one after another.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's going to create a huge buzz, you know what I mean? But the whole card is just laced. I mean, we get to see Nijinsky again.
The Gold Cup's a great race,
Gold
too.
Cup is a phenomenal race, you know what I mean? It just never ends. The good times is looking good, you know? I mean, it's just a really, really going to be an unbelievable Saturday night of racing.
I tell you one thing, those races that we all talked about, they're a part of the All-Stakes Pick 5, and that's something we're going to kind of highlight here on the pre-show as well. I submitted a ticket there, so we're going to take a glimpse of my ticket here for the All-Stakes Pick 5. I know you're going to be submitting one.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, look at this. You went skinny in some places, but oh boy, the Armbro Flight, that's pretty heavy for John Rollis.
Listen, I have no clue what's going to happen or maybe what kind of equipment changes we're going to see on some of these Oka Svanstedt mares. I think they're the biggest wild card. I think you can agree with that.
I agree.
I'm going to do my best to provide information.
Plus, they've had a start under their belt.
They've had a start under their belt, but we know that they like to pull the shoes. I mentioned it on air last week that Oka and I were having a discussion, and he said this is the best the track's ever been.
So you know what's in the back of his mind.
He says it's even easier for him to consider pulling the shoes, right? So, obviously working in the paddock, I'm going to try and speak to Oka or Sarah, get their thoughts on how their horses are coming into the race, see if they're going to be pulling shoes. I'll do the same for MM's Dream, who I left off the opening leg as well. But that's
so where did you go? Who's your four here?
I went Call Me Goo, Dial Square, Drawn Impression, and Nelson Bright Eagle. Quite frankly, because truthfully though, Randy, all the Oka Svanstedt mares outside of Dial Square, none of them impressed me. But we know we're better than what they showed, right?
But they needed that start.
They needed that start. So I used a bunch of them. I was more curious to see which, where everybody was going to be assigned. I didn't expect James to be listed on Dial Square. He's picking up a great drive, isn't he?
Oh, is he ever? Yeah. Good spot to work from, Absolutely. Yeah, James is really, really looking. He's going to be in a good spot in that race.
Yeah, and the Mohawk Gold Cup, I mean, for me, it could be kind of like, I decided to go kind of chalky in some of those other legs, but for me, the biggest stand was I got to try and take a stand somewhere. I'm going back to Oakwood Arden. It was one that I was high on last year, one that got a bad trip in the Gold Cup, if you can recall, post-8. Just came home in 25 and change. Just didn't have a trip to work out.
That's a risky play.
It's a risky play, but I love the draw that he worked with. If you watch his replay from the Meadowlands, his most recent victory, he left out of there for the first time in quite some time. He was able to push out of there, and he inherited a 2-hole trip after Ruthless Hanover removed, and he responded well. So I'm hoping that he can work out kind of work out a trip here with a lot of speed to chase. But I tell you, Randy, you've got Brew Hanover picking up Yannick Gingras. You've got Nijinsky coming in off a sharp effort. Coach Stefanos, who James was able to win a Breeders' Crown with. So I think some of these horses are going to shake up the race. We haven't even spoke about Irvin Hanover.
True. And there's actually
a Buckabet.
And there's also one from the outside that is really putting up beautiful efforts right now, Captain Fear Not.
That's exactly it, yeah.
I know that this is a big step up for him, but boy, oh boy, has he ever been responding in the last month.
Yeah, and for me, it was... I'm kind of the belief is you got to go one or the other in the fillies race for the Fan Hanover. I opted to single and go all in on Chantilly.
The Canadian way.
Canadian way.
There you go.
I just didn't want to use both, so I took a stand in the Gold Cup, and I'm going to take a stand in that fillies in that Fan Hanover, and just too deep in the Pepsi North America Cup, Luprin and Light Up the World. I think a lot of horses have a chance in that race, and I'm just curious to see how it's going to shake out. As many of us are.
Yeah, for sure. And Light Up the World, he really opened up a lot of eyes. But to the same effect, you always got to remember, too, James never used that horse in that whole race. Can he do it again? Can he race going for $1 million, never use him, but just 1/4 on the end of it? I don't know.
Now, quickly, before we move on to the Jackpot High Five, I just want your thoughts. Middle of the gate draw for James. If you were in that position, he's got one elim winner to his outside, one to his inside. What are you doing in that spot for yourself personally?
I think when you're racing for money and you got deep horses on the inside and the outside, the biggest thing that I wouldn't do is give away what I'm going to do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would push forward with them. Not necessarily that I want to get the front, but I think I would push forward enough to maybe let a few of those outside horses look over and say, hey, he's leaving too. And then you can always kind of take back if they start to take back. But if you take back from the middle of the gate and a couple of them leave from the outside, you could be in a really, really bad spot.
He's got a great lineup, though, on Saturday night. Just all throughout the night, he's got a great lineup that he's got a chance to work with and sit behind. So best of luck to James. Best of luck to everybody else. And we touched on the All-Stakes Pick 5. We've also got another great wagering opportunity upon us, and that's the Jackpot High 5, Randy. And 421,000.
You said you always play it when it's a mandatory.
I'm not a jackpot guy myself, to be honest with you, but this is it's a plus EV wager at this point, right? I mean, there's 420,000 in new money. It's a must bet. It's just a must play.
It's going to go for $1 million?
I think it's going to be a big pool. Yeah, I think we're going to get over $1 million. I think we're going to get way more than $1 million.
Wow.
This is the biggest carryover we've had in quite some time. Mm-hmm. And you could see the field of 12 here. I know you're probably wishing, Randy, that HP Liz Shadow, one that you were high on, although the effort wasn't great, I'm sure you were hoping that he drew a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a really interesting race, you know what I mean? Because really there's no clear-cut standout. Now, Kyle's Art is on great form. He won his last one. You know, Century Inspector's been on great form as well. And as for Dragon on the Beach, you know, dropping down into this class, normally we see him racing against much tougher, you know. Well, we've seen him race in the Open before, the Preferred. Now he's going to take a shot in this 50 claimer. I can see him being highlighted in there.
He's the X factor, and he's the one that's going to be the one to beat in that race. But you and I both know, having watched him race so many times, sometimes we never know what we're going to get from him.
Right.
Like, he can race against really good ones where you kind of think like he's in over his head, and then he's in a perfect spot that you think, and he just doesn't get the job done.
Just doesn't show up.
So just the consistency's not really there, but his last two efforts, superb. I know you really liked it. He was your all-in, I think, last time out. So I think this is a great spot for him. Order One to Go. Claimed by Andrew Harris and another owner. I'm drawing a blank here, but Gary Murner is going to train this guy. He's got the rail. Jason Bartlett aboard too.
Yeah, for sure. He looks good in there. And what about Larry Carr? Always a speedster.
Well, that's kind of why I opted to go Order One to Go on top. I think I probably might have been. I'm aware that Dragon on the Beach is the horse to beat. I'm going to try and hope that Order One to Go can maybe work out a trip. I think there's a lot of speed to chase here. You know, in this race.
That's what I mean. It's a very even match. And what about the 4-horse? Have you looked at him much? That's a new name for me. Ponder no longer.
It just hasn't really been a factor here, and I think this is a tough. Personally, I just think it's too tough of a spot for him. I'm not going to use him whatsoever on the ticket. If he sneaks in for 5th, so be it. But unfortunately, just
let him beat you.
Let him beat me. Exactly. All right. So we touched on the All Stakes Pick 5. We touched on the Jackpot High 5, and now we're going to get a chance to look at the early Pick 5 for this evening. And I kind of like the sequence here, Andy. So I'm curious to see how you are going to map it out. You used the all button in the last leg of this early Pick 5. I'll tell you what, I like to take a stand in that race, but I have no there's not a concrete horse that maybe you can rely upon. I'm going to look and take a shot from the outside with Paul McDonnell's charge there into Holta. But after that, I mean, I have really no strong opinion other than that.
That's kind of the way I went that way. And I mean, in the late Pick 5, I'm going to do more or less the same thing, only it's race 8 that I'm going to put the all button. Yeah, but going to go skinny more or less the whole way, but looking to get that all button in race 5. There was just too many intangibles in there for me, you know, horses that could come up with big efforts and horses that aren't really showing any. And I find sometimes the ones that aren't showing any, they're the ones that come up with the big effort. So, yeah, you know, more or less logical. Going to go single the McNair horse in the first. Race number 2, I'm going to go Always Be Sweetest, who I thought was really live on the inside last week. Diamond Rider there. Singling again in 3 with Alimony Mike. And then I think it's... then the all button in race 5, and then race 4, I'm just going to go 2 in there: Wells Fargo and Zed Athena.
Quickly, very interesting single in Alimony Mike. I think the one that you're singling in the first, Fireflies and Thunder, tough race to take a stand in. But Alimony Mike, what were your thoughts on that effort? Because in this non-winners of 2 class, we saw a really good effort 2 back. Last time out, though, I mean, perfect trip. He just didn't have much pop at the end of it.
I think this is a really tough non-winners of 2, but I also think that he can fit with them, and I think he's taken a big drop down in racing company, where the rest of them, you know, they've more or less been racing the non-winners of 2. To tell you the truth, John, I really, really like him in here, but of all the horses that I think is going to be the toughest is the 1 horse, French Vodka, the Christoforou horse. I just don't know how hard Chris is going to want to be with him and with the rail, that kind of thing. But I like Alimony Mike. I'm willing to take a stand on him.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, if you guess right there, I went 3 deep. I believe I used Eurobank Hanover. I think the numbers were wrong on my ticket there. I'm not sure if it was a John error or not, but Sunday Shoes. One that's a value play. I heard you and Chad talking about it. Tough spot.
Second start Lasix, second start Evander Kemp. But it's a move up.
He just did it so easily last time. But it is a tougher spot.
And in a fast time, huge last quarter. He fits in here. It's just a matter, is he going to get his things his own way?
What are your thoughts on Tohonta? One that I'm going to single in that last leg. My spot play this evening. listen, she's 3 for 3 so far. I know she's been facing softer company. I just love that she's coming in here with confidence. And truthfully, I haven't seen enough from any other rival, racing. There's too many strikes.
Yeah, I got her in for third, and only because of the 10 hole.
Yep.
I love the way that Ken's been bringing her along, and I mean, I'm always shocked that more people don't do this. You know what I mean? Take a horse to KD. You get 3 wins there, only racing for a purse of $4,500. 3 wins, and you come back and you fit a maiden.
Yep.
To me, she's got some teaching lessons into her. She's got some speed and some fitness into her. She can come up with a big effort. I say if she draws the middle of the gate, she was probably going to be my top play.
All right, we got your thoughts on Alimony Mike here, who's your worth a look play. Let's get some thoughts on your other horses here on your place board, Randy.
Yeah, well, PL Stevie, got him in there. He's going to be my all-in tonight, race number 6. In race number 7, I'm going to go Get the Green, first start Lasix for Roger Mayotte and James McDonald. I'm going to put him up on top. Simply because I don't think he's that far away. I think the Lasix could help him first start. And Beat the Favorite, I know this is the second week that I've put her up on top. I still think that she has way more to offer than anybody else in that race, but I honestly think that JD's just trying to get her into form. I don't think that she came into her racing back where she was ready to go right off the bat. I think he's getting her that way, and I think tonight is going to be the night that we're going to pay dividends, especially with the move into the 6 hole.
I'm with you, and you can see we're agreeing on a couple here. Sunday Shoes, my Beat the Fave. Maybe I think I meant to say value play, but spot play is going to be Tohonta. Going to take a shot with her. Best bet, PL Stevie, one that I liked last time out. It just didn't seem like Chris could really get her into gear. And I'm in agreement with you. I know you've liked this mare the last couple of tries. Kira Seelster, it's got to be all systems go. Good draw to work with. I'm expecting her to be forwardly placed. And hopefully she can take down Superior Delight, who's going to be a challenge for sure.
We've seen her beat better horses than this. It's just that she's coming back off of a layoff. I'm just hoping that we got her on the right night.
All right, there's some thoughts for some other resident handicappers here as we're getting set here for a 10-pack on a Thursday night, just 2 days away from Pepsi North America Cup night.